Alright guys, so we're going to be watching a troll deck in action, and it's really going to showcase off how good Consecrated Light can be with the Layer of Darkness. Now, you could lock out your opponent of basically doing anything. Well, in this instance, against Rockets, or even against something like the Orcus deck, if they can't summon any Dark monsters, especially if they're playing like a Danger variant, they're basically locked out of really playing the game at all, because they really rely on monster effects. And if you were to say play against maybe like a Thunder Dragon variant that has Sekka's Light, if they can't get rid of Layer of Darkness, and then you have that Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, you can lock them out of all effects, and they can't even attack at all if they're playing Orcus, and of course they're only running Darks for the most part. Consecrated Light is an older card, but it makes it so neither player can normal or special summon Dark monsters, or even attack with Dark monsters. So basically, it's like Mystic Mine all over again. But on top of that, you take no battle damage from that battle, and this card can't be destroyed by battle with a Dark monster. So basically, even if they were to, let's say, establish a board previously, you could summon this and still be a-okay. Now, this card won't negate the effects, which is obviously the downside now. In Yu-Gi-Oh! People will just go ahead and make other things. But when you happen to have other back row that can help out with this, it's much easier. And then for our win condition, essentially, we can use final countdowns, because it is a... I mean, this is like the Troll Deck 101, man. You got to run Final Countdown, throw in some Exodia pieces too, why not? But basically, that is, again, one win condition. But I'll show you guys the duel where it doesn't have to have this. But my boy Quest Train made something pretty interesting, and we'll watch it against more meta stuff. I know Rockets aren't considered like the most meta, but it's a good example of a deck that would technically be dark. He said that a lot of people would rage quit against his deck, and that's totally understandable, because this is a deck where it locks you out. That's what, you know, troll decks do. They just lock you out sometimes of doing certain things. Most of the troll decks, they're kind of gimmicky and then would lose relatively quick if they don't get their combo off. But I would say in this one, you obviously need to open up with Layer of Darkness, which is not too hard with, of course, Metaverse. And there's technically that other like quick play when your opponent special summons a monster, you can just bam, convert him dark. I think the most difficult card to really get is Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, which would basically set you up to make it so everything becomes dark, and then you negate all their effects, but it doesn't, again, negate them in the graveyard. But there's not too many people that would technically play, let's say, for example, like some of the danger cards that would activate in the grave. Most of them, it's like add to hand or special summon. And if they're not playing the Bigfoot and or the Thunderbird, then you basically win the game. I mean, you're just going to deck them out. That's a way that you can indeed win in this deck. I mean, technically, Final Countdown is another way you can win. But like I said, with Metaverse, you'll get Layer of Darkness. Consecrated Light, there's a few ways to get him out. You can technically 1-for-1 it. You can also crash pretty much most of the fairies, Nova Summoner. You can even go for Shining Angel. There's a lot of ways just to get this specific card. But the difficult card is Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, which again would then negate all their effects. But if your opponent can't even summon, we're only talking about Shadow Imprisoning Mirror if they happen to already have a board. Because again, that would be the main issue that this deck might have a problem against. But in this duel over here, we're not going to be locking them out with Consecrated Light, but we're going to be locking them out essentially with the Barrier Statues. Now, in the OCG, the last time that I saw this deck top, it was basically a anti-meta Barrier Statue variant with, of course, just a bunch of the different Barrier Statues. Usually, it was not playing Light or the Dark. So basically, it would lock you out, and then Moon Mirror Shield, or even you can run a Fossil Dyna. That was in that build too. Basically, it was Fossil Dyna, Moon Mirror Shield, and then they'd play Macro, D-Fissure, and then that was basically the way that they would win. But like I said, I think this variant's a little bit better because you have that option of maybe going second and then summoning Consecrated Light, and then Layer of Darkness, and then they can't attack. And then hopefully they won't be able to activate any effects if you happen to have Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. We'll talk about more cards that you guys can swap. And now, in case you guys did want to actually mess around with this, I just love covering things that are a little bit different. I would consider this an anti-meta / troll, because if it's got a Final Countdown, it's got to be something trollsy, man. It's got to have some type of a lockdown, because it takes so many turns, especially since Final Countdown is at 1 now. But unfortunately, this card basically locks him out. Now, he's finally able to get rid of that Moon Mirror Shield that his opponent had, but it doesn't really matter at this point because, again, he can't go for any of his Sound and Great cards, and then he's going to top deck that card once again, And pretty much, I mean, this is game against a lot of different decks. If they can't get rid of this, you're playing up against a lot of the Orcust variants. They really need their special summons, and if you say no, well, they just can't summon. And again, Consecrated Light basically does the same thing as well. And that one, we even have Gold Moon Coin. This is definitely a troll card over here. You give your opponent those Winkaribos. I guess his concept was maybe I'll give it to them, and then if this card in the field is destroyed for the rest of the turn, you take no battle damage. I'm not sure if you really need that. Look, his opponent is even setting his own Winkaribos. Now that's a massive amount of disrespect, because it's like, oh wait, no battle damage, but that's your Winkaribo, so your opponent still takes some damage. I'm not sure if I would actually play that card, but it does technically help you stall, and I can't deny that. But the last duel over here is up against Heroes, which do have quite a bit of room for play. We also have Imperial Iron Wall here, in the off chance that you have some effect to like banish certain cards. It can be kind of useful, but I want to go over the deck, and I want to give you guys some more suggestions for this to make it a little bit more competitive. Basically, looking at the OCG list that topped, again, it was a while back ago, but when's the last time like barrier statues saw play? But like I said, Nova Summoner can go right into Consecrated Light, and again, everything is dark. So now, this is what I was talking about, where like even if your opponent maybe establishes a board beforehand, it's not that bad because you can just instantly summon the Consecrated Light. And again, remember, he can't attack at all, but in this instance, unfortunately, he was able to make Phoenix, and he didn't happen to have the Shadow Imprison here. So I think Shadow Imprison Mirror, you need to run Skill Drain in here. He wasn't playing Skill Drain, but like I said, we'll talk more about other cards. He also was playing Tyrant's Temper, so this allows him to tribute an opponent's monster over here, and then all face-up monsters on the field that you control are unaffected by other trap cards. This can help out against like impermanence, for example, so that can be great. And this is continuous too, and keep in mind with, of course, your Layer of Darkness, you're going to be able to tribute your opponent's stuff, so that's very good, not only to get rid of a problematic card, like you said, sometimes when your opponent goes first, but on top of that, it makes you immune to permanence, which is kind of the main card that would maybe help most decks deal with this, and that's if they're not playing Sekka's Light. But impermanence is a pretty popular card, so this would, again, help out with them stopping Consecrated Light from making it so you can't even play Yugioh. But if they still get converted dark, and again, if you still happen to have the Shatter Imprisoning Mirror, you can still negate all their effects, and that can be quite annoying as well. But Final Countdown's already in effect. This other player, he's sticking around over here, but like I said, when Quest Train sent me in these, he said a lot of people quit on him, and like I said, it's gonna happen when you're playing these kind of Final Countdown decks. Sometimes you literally activate any card that reveals even one piece of Exodia, or you Duality and they see Final Countdown, or even Mystic Bind, people dip out fast. It's just, I mean, I can't blame them though. There's times where, you know, I see someone Royal Magical Library, I'm already like, alright, I know where this is going. Especially if it's turn 1 and they summon Royal Magic Library, you already know you might as well leave because they're going to spend a half an hour. It's a half an hour of them searching through their deck, and if they don't get with their combo, they leave themselves. It's either you're not going to have a good time, or you're going to sit there and then they're just going to leave when they mess up their combo, or they just stop having the draw power. Also running Magic Planter over here just to draw some extra cards can be nice, just for deck thinning. But I think there's a lot better options. The Seekers card where it's like you banish the top like 3, and then in 3 turns you get add them. Like, there are a lot of other stall cards that can give you advantage later down the line, which, I mean, you need to get that Final Countdown as quickly as possible before, of course, your opponent draws at Twin Twisters. But anyways, now that you guys have seen it in action, let's go ahead and go over a brief deck profile. But like I said, I wanted to talk about things that can maybe make this deck a little bit better. First off, importantly, Arima, you definitely want this card. This is a card that's going to allow you to, of course, go for the Layer of Darkness. I would personally bump this up a little bit. I would just try to guarantee myself having this card turn 1, even if you need to run Terraforming as well. That's just my suggestions, okay? I would completely drop the Winkaribos as well, but let's just go run into the deck profile real quick. So we got 2 copies of Arima, we got 3 copies of Nova, 2 copies of Barrier Statue, 2 copies of Marshmallow. I mean, this guy's got the troll face all over it. And then we got Winkaribo, Consecrated Light, Magic Planner, 1 for 1. Wednesday at Peace, 2 copies of the Gold Moon Coin, 2 copies of Cards from the Sky. Don't even worry about the battle phase. And then we have the Foolish, we have Final Countdown, we have Duality, we have the Flute of Summoning Karibo, we have the Refuge in Audacity, Court of Justice, that just lets you special summon a 3 monster from your hand. Then we've got a Moon Mirror Shield, Heart of Clearwater, which can prevent your monster from essentially, with the equipped monster with this card cannot be destroyed as a result of a battle or by effect that targets that monster. However, I feel like this card already protects itself. It's kind of redundant. 3 copies of Layer of Darkness, then we get the Deck Devastation Virus. Again, you're going to be able to tribute your opponent's stuff. And then this card is really good. The Dark Spirit Art Greed. It lets you tribute 1 dark monster, which is going to be your opponent's. And then you get to draw 2 cards. And your opponent can negate this effect by revealing a spell card in their hand. So, unfortunately, this card does technically have that downside of that. Then we have 2 copies of the Return to the Frontlines, and we have 2 copies of Meta Rares, Tyrant's Temper, Imperial Custom, Iron Wall, and then the Tyrant's Tummy Ache. So you tribute, obviously, their monster. And neither player can special summon a level 6 or higher monster, and if you have 3 or more cards in your hand, you have to destroy this card. And then we have Gozen Match, and then Shadow Imprisoned Mirror, and the Cursed Seal of the Forbidden Spell. So maybe stop Twin Twisters, which is pretty much the only spell card I would say that people have to really deal with this. And again, some decks, they won't even have that option if they're playing like the Sekka's Light variant. Once you go for the combo, it's going to be GG. But now that you guys have seen the deck profile, let me go ahead and give you guys some suggestions. So like I said, this is just my personal suggestions here. I think that since Card for the Sky is just any light fairy, you don't really need the... I just feel like the Wing Karibos are kind of unnecessary. This card, I mean, yeah, maybe you can go off with it. Unfortunately, it has that downside, so I'm not really a fan of this card specifically for that. But you really gotta try to focus in on getting this card as quickly as possible. As much as I love Marshmallow, I don't think it's that necessary. I'm not really sure the good usage of Foolish here. I feel like this is technically, yeah, it's a troll card. It's just unnecessary. This card, however, I mean, it's not that bad. It lets you run over everything, so it gives you that option. Plus, it does open up the door for barrier lockdowns. Since you're not really special summoning too much, other than maybe crashing Nova Summon, or you can even set Nova Summoner, or even if you wanted to play Shining Angel, whatever the case may be. That one technically has more targets, but in this deck, your target's going to be the same anyways, because this happens to also be a fairy. I don't really feel like you need to return the monster. If you really want to, Reborn could be an example of a card that could be a little bit faster, but I know that if you want to wait, sometimes it could be kind of bad. You gotta wait turn. I think you should try to focus in on, and Gozen Match can be good too, because you're locking them into darks. It's kind of up to you on that. Imperial Custom can be kind of nice because it protects everything else. But the thing is that most people will probably just be using Twin Twisters. And if you flip up this, they can chain to it. I mean, it's kind of up to you on this. But I think that the deck should definitely focus in more on this card itself. I don't think you need this card or Heart of Clearwater at all. But I think that if you guys want to add some suggestions for this deck, you guys comment, oh, is it Shadow Dash Imprisoning Mirror? Yeah, Shadow Dash Imprisoning Mirror. I think you should max out on those. You should... Skill Drain could also be okay. The problem is the Skill Drain would technically stop this. However, this effect would activate in the grain if you have Moon and Mirror Shield already equipped. Then you guys can look at like, well, that still helps out. I would say you can run multiple cards from the sky, just so you can deck thin as quickly as possible, because you can't special summon or conduct your battle phase, but that's totally fine because you don't really need that, and you could just cycle through your deck a little bit faster. Like I said, Shining Angel could be another great card because it's really just this that you need to go for. This and Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. I moved it over here, but I think this area was just full. This card could be okay, but negates this all spell effects on the field as well, so could be bad in that aspect. But I think this would be a good starter, and even in the extra deck, if you want to play the Pot of Extravagance, could be an excellent card as well, because, well, you don't really need to go for anything. And if there is a problematic card that happens to be on the board and you really need to get rid of it, I think Eater of Millions could be an excellent card as well. It just forces your opponent to kind of just activate that one card, because they will want to usually protect their card. But I think this is a great little starter troll deck. Consecrated Light plus Layer of Darkness. I mean, remember, they're not going to be able to attack, and then as long as you happen to get Shadow Mirror, the idea is to have this up on the board. And then at that point, you got a very strong lockdown for the most part. I think Dark Bride could be an option as well. I know that Mystic Mind does play it as well. Cursed Seal could be excellent as well. Because once you get rid of that one Twin Twisters, if they play 2 or 3, I mean, all those other cards are completely useless, and that's really the only card that you want to stop, so I think that this might be the better option over Dark Bride. I mean, there are some archetypes that will run some spell and traps that can also get rid of it, but for the most part it's Twin Twisters, and then once you get rid of that, I mean, you should be good to go home free for that final countdown win, or if you want to just Moonmere Shield with one of these, could be good to go as well. But anyways, guys, that is it for the deck. Keep in mind, it doesn't stop everything in every zone because Shadow Prisoner is just on the field or in the graveyard. It does not technically stop in the hand, but there could be some interesting interactions with other cards. But there it is, guys. Let me know your thoughts down below on this Consecrated Layer of Darkness Troll variant deck. And thanks to my boy Questrain for these plays indeed. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like on it. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more crazy Yu-Gi-Oh decks in action, like the Consecrated Layer Darkness Lockdown Troll. And if you guys got any other interesting replays, feel free to send them to AzneyesReplays@gmail.com. Thanks for watching, and peace.